Anyways, this is the Accordion Train, and I'm Chris Pratt, your host for the evening. Just to be aware, before we jump into this story, there are some trigger warnings. These are them. So yeah, I always appreciate when writers put that in. To my knowledge, the writer mentioned, at least in this initial section that I'll be looking at, um, I don't believe those come up. We'll probably stop the stream when they do, or if we start saying, "Oh, this might be getting into one of those areas," or at least the recording, because I want to make sure that this is still as general audience possible as we can get it. The Cardiff docks were misty and chilly as the train finally pulled into the station. Elena clutched her valise to her chest tighter and tighter, a cold sweat coating her body. So the paragraphy is a little funky in terms of the formatting. So the fact that it's spaced kind of far. I mean, maybe this is just the PDF version. Something to think about. Spacing looks a little. Page layout, something to think about. Yeah, not a big deal, but something to think about as a writer. Yeah, this is the final boss, Chris Pratt boss. That's what they call me. Yeah, I think there's somebody on stream who will look like the narration is double spaced, the dialogue is quintuple spaced. Well, I think this might be a setting. Sometimes on Word, when you do a line break, when you actually press enter, it will add an extra line break in. When you're already double spaced, that can be kind of like jarring. So there are ways to format this out, but yeah, it's usually I don't see this in final drafts or in PDF drafts. So take that as you will. Might be intentional, might not be. Yeah, yeah. There's been people on stream who will only refer to me as Chris Pratt, which is cool because Chris Pratt's cool. So you know what? He's Star Lord. I'm in for that. All right, almost there, almost there. She repeated the words over and over. A vague massage that brought her marginal comfort as she waited for the safety of the passenger car. So again, we're getting a little bit of verbal doubling here, right? Like she repeated. That's implied in the dialogue. So it's one of those things to think about. A bit of verbal doubling between dialogue and the tag. That's one of the things and this is like it's always funny because you're like you did such a good job on the dialogue. You don't you trust yourself, you know? And that's what a lot of times, kind of the thing. Like where if you literally cut this line and you brought this up here, same effect except for the fact of a passenger car, but we can get that later. Or you can even put it in the dialogue. Like almost there, passenger car 7. Almost there, passenger car 7. Almost there, passenger car 7. Since you're say singing some stuff, I'm expecting you to break into a chorus of "Bye Bye Lil Sebastian." Well, I haven't watched Parks and Rec. I need to. I know, I know. It's a travesty that I've not watched Parks and Rec, but I have not. Shame on me, and a pox upon me. Almost there. It's almost here. The train screeches at the top of the platform. So yeah, like the tag. Yeah, you probably don't need a tag at all. Train screeches stop on the platform. Oops, outside a train shed. Outside the train shed canopy. It's kind of a tricky subject there. The barge horns bellowed in the night, signaling the closeness of the home to home that Elena desired. So again, this phrasing a little funky. Um, just stop on the yeah, like this is summary when you've been doing such a good job of evoking the scene. Maybe show a stream of conscious. thought, like I'm only 2 stops from home now. So close. So yeah. So again, you can communicate this. I know I'm close to home. I know I'm near. My goal is home because that's what the sentence is, to my reading is trying to do, right? Elena wants to go home. She's close to home. The sounds tell her that she's close to home. Back to lurk mode. Lurk away. Lurk away. Get those words done. I can put a sprint timer on. I'll do it. I'll do it. Gosh darn it. Um, there was no home but the Ringmaster's circus on the other side of town. The circle ring was home. The high platforms. So yeah, I mean, I think even with this turn here, I think you can still have her thinking like have this conflict of homes, and I think that's an interesting thing to play with. She couldn't remember a home before she found her family in the Ringmaster's circus, somewhere she never wanted to be again. Anywhere else would do. So again, verbal doubling, right? Like we've already kind of gotten this conflicted need for escape. But I would again think about using stream of consciousness or some of the thoughts, because these are thoughts, but they're summarized thoughts, right? Like they're kind of distilled. Like for example, here, I'll just put this here, P12. Consider, less summary in the thoughts here and leaning more toward raw and stream of consciousness to evoke. Cause right, like there was no home but the Ringmaster Circus on the other side of town. The circus ring was home, the high platforms, the big tent top was home. So again, that's like kind of distilled, right? She's home is a very abstract concept. She's zooming it up, you know, let's just continue from here. Only 2 stops from home now. So close, so close. Or was she far? Far from home. The circus. Wasn't that home? Question mark. You can have that. Wasn't the circus home? Wasn't the ringmaster home? He would call it home. He always called it home. No, no, those are his lies again. That's ways to kind of build this frenetic momentum in thought. That still is communicating what you're trying to communicate, but hopefully can also keep that scene tension that you've built up going, because it does feel like some of the tension kind of dips when we get back into summary here. And because summary naturally diffuses tension because it takes a non-tense rational mind to summarize. So if we're coming in through a character's point of view, if they're summarizing, we assume they're calm, conscious, collected, thinking through things, and it doesn't sound like that's the effect we're trying to get to here. Station platform became suffused with steam, mist, and smoke of the locomotive. When it finally rested to allow boarding and disembarking, she breathed a sigh. Almost. She clung to her valise so hard her knuckles turned white. Every last thing she had in the world within it. I don't know if we need this. Feels like it's just a little bit exposition, and it also is tacked on oddly. She clung to her valise so hard, her knuckles turned white. Every last thing in the world she had. So that's a fragment. Yeah, that's a fragment. So I do believe that's something to kind of think about. Because when you put a semicolon in there, you're calling it an independent clause, which I don't believe it is. Maybe I'm just like reading it wrong, but um, um, this prob could be cut. It's a fragment, so it doesn't flow so well. There. Again, when I capitalize this, the only thing she didn't have, the last thing she knew was Jack, her brazen and loving Jack. Wait, the only thing she didn't have, the last thing she needed in her world was she closed her eyes and lulled her one of her core memories. So core memory feels like a proper noun. Like core memory in this world, I don't know. Um, Memory feels like a proper thing in this world, like a magic tool. Is this intended. She could see his sweaty, flushed, and beaming face in her mind's eye even now. His head calmly held his hand as he finished the final 50-foot lap in the air. Hook the trapeze bar. He's never scared, never. That poor fool. All aboard! The voice came. Alina snapped out of her reverie. The clouds and the cheering crowds were gone in an instant. All that remained was the passenger car door. So good job using questions and thoughts now. Great job using questions and stream of consciousness. Consciousness and thought. Consider, using this tool more often when you want to keep a fast pace going. Yeah, because that's exactly what we were talking about, right? And you do have it here, so it's awesome. Like you've done this before, it's in your repertoire. So I would just make sure that hey, in these other areas where summary is starting to creep in and it's starting to slow down scenes that you don't want. So I mean, there is a place to slow down and zoom through summary. Um, but if there are places that you don't want that to happen, using techniques like this can go a long way to filling out those gaps. So yeah, it doesn't seem like the core memory was something intentional in terms of, like this is like I'm entering a core. Like once you mess, like sort of like Inception, when you mess with the core memory, it'll incept something. That's kind of what I was thinking, but it just seems like something she was thinking about. Once on board, everything seemed to be normal. Rachel in the seat beside her, determined to always have it within arm's reach if anything should unexpectedly change. Lena plopped herself onto a booth. So if she placed the valise on the seat beside her, and then that sounds like she's already sitting, which is okay. You don't have to describe someone sitting and standing. Um, so yeah, um, this implies that she's already sat down, which is good. Um, so it feels repetitive to have, since it's communicating more with less. So it feels repetitive to have, right after it. Yeah. So I mean, again, like you're doing a lot of these good techniques. That's inside out. Am I inside out? Is my shirt inside out? Is my blanket inside out? I don't know. What is the meaning of this? Uh-oh. Oh yeah, the core memories thing. Yeah. Oh, that's inside out. Yes, that was the core memories, and there's like the sad memory. And maybe that's why, right? Because they've already built that association of core memory with a proper noun in my brain. Thank you, NW. That was very helpful. Right on the point. Right on point too. Um, she had to be positive that no one followed her. Escape would be ruined if everyone found out soon. She knew very well what happened. Those grubby, maniacal hands. You could take that. Always in the same. Okay. Well, this is where we get to some of the content stuff. So, we'll go ahead and close it here. Sadly, I couldn't go too far into this one, but I want to make sure that we stay as general audience as possible. But overall, What are the thoughts? Um, I think honestly, like the prose is good, flows well, and reads nicely. Just trust, the prose you've already written. Sometimes I feel things are restated or reiterated when they don't need to be. Love, the creepy, you know, circus concept and the evil ringmaster. Referring to a character by a title rather than a real name can be super spooky. But yes, very spooky. But yeah, overall, great work on this project. I am heading to bed because I'm old and feeble. But NW Country, I will be posting up the VOD of your review on YouTube, but feel free to reach out on stream or over email if you have any questions on my feedback or comments or ways that I can give better feedback, because I'm always, and likewise for any of these writers, feel free to say, hey, you should say this instead of this, or that actually hurt my feelings, Jeff. Why did you say it that way? And I hope I didn't. I really try to be thoughtful about that, but I'm human. I'm not perfect. I will probably bum somebody out at some point. So feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to clarify, because it's definitely not, it's definitely something I can always, do better at and work on. But anyways, this was the Accordion Train, and this was Final Boss Editing. Great job to all the writers. I think everyone did an awesome job tonight, and I'm excited to see what their revisions bring. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Take care.